CO, hello, I'm Cade Thomas, and welcome to Double Feature Movie Club. This is our 54th episode, and we're talking about two movies, as always. This time it is Paul Giamatti and Alexander Payne, double feature, and so we're talking about 2004's Sideways, and out in theaters now, The Holdovers. And I am joined this week, as always, with my amazing co-host, Diane. How you doing, Diane?
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Happy Hanukkah. All the holidays. Don't want to leave anybody out. And I'm doing good. We had camels in the Claremore Christmas parade last night. Wow. Yes, there were camels. It was great. I didn't realize that there is a guy who lives up in Ulica that has a kind of an exotic animal, I guess, farm or ranch, and he has like 35 animals, or 35 camels, I should say. Yeah. And you can actually sometimes, if you know where it's at, you see them close to the fence, you can stop and pet them. They're very nice camels.
Oh, so did you go to the parade?
No,
you saw photos of it later.
Yes, I saw photos of it later. I used to take my mom to the parade. If you get there early enough, you could park your car where you didn't have to get out. And so I'd bring hot chocolate and, take the dogs, and we'd go see the parade. And, but it's really, you have to get there really early to get a prime spot because it fills up out there.
Yeah.
It's amazing for a little town.
Yeah.
If they had camels. I guarantee you Tulsa didn't have camels.
I don't know. I wouldn't say so. But yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, it's, I went, one year when I was in college, I stayed for the Claremore parade. I was there anyway, so I watched it. So yeah, they do go all out for a small town.
They do. You get the high schools and everything. It's funny. I've worked on helping someone organize a parade, and it's really hard to get marching bands out there. Unless you're at the Rose Bowl, they're not talking to you. These kids don't want to march in a parade. It's like, no way. So.
Even though they're a marching band?
Yeah. Yeah. That's just for football. Love your Christmas tree, by the way, Kate.
Thank you. I was realizing my shadow was covering it, and so I wanted to make it more prominent.
Got your what county is that in? Hanobi, Oklahoma.
It's in the Kiamichi Mountains.
I bet they have a parade. I bet you they have Bigfoot instead of
camels. Yeah,
we're bragging about our camels up here in Claremore.
They're like, well, we got the guy himself, Bigfoot. Well, is there anything you've been watching as of recently?
I watched the Julia Roberts, Ethan Hawke. Yeah, we talked about it a little bit yesterday. It was, it's 2.5 hours long, so it's already too long for the story. And I think they just wanted to get as much of the story in as they possibly could.
Yeah.
And you could not turn that into a series. It really needed to have a beginning and an end. And I think the ending is probably different than the book. Now I'm going to go read the book just because, it was an interesting story. It's Leave the World Behind is the name of it, just in case,
It's on Netflix.
I'm sure a lot. Yeah, it's been trending #1 since it came out on Friday. So I'm sure a lot of people have seen it. And then when I was getting my nails done today, see Christmas color for my nail. Anyway, the place where I get my nails, the guy always turns on a Netflix movie while you're there. So I end up watching like 20 to 30 minutes of a movie, and then I have to come home and finish it. And this one today was the swap one with Jennifer Garner.
Oh, the family, the family one, family swap or something.
Yeah,
like
or
that. Switch.
Yeah, Switch.
Family Switch, or something like that.
Family Switch. Yeah, it was pretty good. It was okay. It was just okay. I prefer my Hallmark Channel movies are, there's a bar for Christmas Hallmark movie, and then there's the movies that come out around Christmas time in the streaming services like this one. The best one of those that I've seen in the last couple of years is the one that had Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell. It was a musical, and I'm pretty sure I told you should watch it, didn't I?
I watched it last year. Yeah.
Good for me. I talked Cade into watching a musical.
I don't know why I somehow get this rap of not liking musicals. I've always historically liked musicals, but no, no. I mean, it was. I remember liking it.
It was good. I thought it was for a Christmas movie. It was pretty entertaining.
It was one of those weird times where I thought, like, honestly, the story was better than the music. That it was kind of like. I just kind of liked what was the story it was telling, and the music kind of was a little bit not up to the par. Yeah, distracting. That was just me.
Well, then plus you had two actors who really aren't singers, who are singing in these parts where they're really not.
And so it ruins the sort of comedy of it because this almost the music's so broad and show tuney and everything, and so it's not, and they're not. And they're playing that straight, and then like all the rest of it's these comedy sort of bits with this premise, and so it's just strange. It's just a little strange thing. But yeah, I liked it. I remember liking it at least.
Do you have a favorite Christmas movie?
I think we just talked about this off air with all the, but yeah, from like old Christmas movie, I like the Rankin and Bass. I like the ideas of that. Year Without Santa Claus is probably the best one of that, as far as I like, with Heat Miser and Snow Miser, as far as like classic things. And then really I don't have any things I watch every year, but I do anytime, because it's one from my childhood, and I don't think anyone likes it, but I love Christmas with the Cranks. I like that one.
Oh yeah.
The Jamie Lee Curtis and Tim Allen, and it's funny. It's a funny little movie, and I think it's just a fun little Christmas film that eventually sort of peters out and isn't as fun. But it does have a lot of just like really funny comedy bits. Dan Aykroyd's also in it. And so yeah, I enjoyed that one. Santa Claus movies. I
like those. Mm-hmm. The Tim Allen Santa Claus movies. I like those. Those are always entertaining. Yeah.
So anytime they're on, I can kind of watch a little bit of it. Elf, I've watched enough. I mean, I'll watch it for a bit until it's like, okay, I got my fill of that. So
I saw about 5 minutes of Elf the other day.
Yeah,
that was 5 minutes enough for me.
Yeah,
you can only do so much Elf.
To me, that's more than a lot of them. Like I don't watch a lot of the other. I won't, even if I see it, I'll just scroll past it. So I have to give Elf a little bit of credit for at least I'll watch 10, 15 minutes of it. Be like, okay. And then it all comes back to me and I'm like, okay, I've essentially watched that movie because I remember the beats of it enough that I don't have to actually sit there and watch it. The memory of it's fine.
Are you one of those guys who thinks Die Hard is a Christmas movie?
I don't understand why that's routinely always a question of anything. I don't watch. No, I don't care. It's on Christmas. A lot of Shane Black movies are on Christmas, but no one watches it. Like, yeah. I mean, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is, I guess, a Christmas movie, but you wouldn't know it because it's just in the background. So, no.
I never thought of Die Hard as being a Christmas movie until I actually read something where people were saying, "Oh yeah, that's a Christmas movie." I'm like, "Ah, yeah, I didn't even know. You mean it's set at Christmas? Oh yeah, I guess it is." Anyway, you saw my joke about the. If you watch Die Hard after Love Actually.
Oh, yes. Then Alan Rickman gets punished for what he did to Emma Thompson. Yeah.
See, I
Love Actually.
My favorite Christmas movie.
That's a good one.
And I also like The Holiday. But then I am kind of a romantic, at heart. So those are probably my two favorite Christmas movies.
Those are good ones.
I
love Love Actually.
Yeah. The guy who did it is thinking about doing another one. I hope someday.
To me, it's a tough one. That's because I think a lot of people, it gets this other idea of what it is than what it actually is. Like, it is kind of coarser and rougher than you would imagine it being. Just like of how people sort of talk. Oh, it's just like a rom-com or whatever. But it's really edgy and interesting. Like, I mean, like I think that's what makes it really timeless is that it certainly has a soft spot to it, but it kind of shows all the range of emotions with love, and it has sort of a coarser edge to it than you would imagine, and any sort of modern day rom-com wouldn't have. Like, it's kind of it walks both sides of being kind of schmaltzy and that, which if they make a sequel to it, I just wonder if it will have that edge.
I don't know that do you think they could actually do a sequel or just another one? Yeah.
I mean, I think you would have some new ones mixed in with some continuations. I think was the way that you would have to make that, because obviously you couldn't have some actors, but I do think that some actors would return. Was the way that I would see it, just to sort of see what they're up to and everything.
That would be neat.
That's how I would see it, but at the same time, I just feel like people's idea of what love actually is different than what the actual movie is, and people's, I like what they're wanting from that, or even like in the modern context of what a rom-com is. If they made a new one, I think they would lose some essence of that. Or if they kept it 100% how the other one was, there would be people that would be appalled by it, because I think that a lot of people really just don't realize how rough it is. It's an odd little movie that I feel like it's just one of those movies that I think people have a different idea of what it is than what it actually is. So I don't know. I'm interested to see. It's
definitely one of those kind of movies that you take your own away from it. The parts that you like, there's enough diversity in the stories that everybody has their part that they really like the best.
Yeah.
And that's the part that they always focus on. Another movie that you and I talked about, and this isn't a Christmas movie, but I noticed is also trending on Netflix right now, is Wind River. And, being in the middle of winter, when the snow, every time I think about, I'd really love for it to snow, I think about that movie and think, no, I don't. Yeah. That was a really good movie. Did you know that movie was funded by a tribe out of Louisiana? Yeah. They were the funders of that movie, which I thought was really interesting.
That's interesting, especially since it's not in Louisiana.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't have anything to do with any of the tribes that are in Louisiana. But yeah, it was funded. It was more than, I think, the idea, or I don't want to give too much away about that movie either. But anyway.
Interesting. Well, I watched last week Godzilla -1. I would recommend everyone to watch that. It is one of the best movies of the year. It is, a lot of people have called it the best Godzilla movie. It is outstandingly good. It's just a good movie in general, and then Godzilla's also in it. And the best sequences of Godzilla I've ever seen in cinema. It is, you feel every bit of it, and at the core of it is a human story that is just moving. It's just a really moving film, while also like really selling how terrifying this thing would be. So I have. It's been a long time since I've been so viscerally in a movie that's a blockbuster movie, I guess. Essentially like that. And it was made for like a quarter of what a lot of these major blockbuster movies here in America are made, and it is just some of the best special effects, and I think it should be up there and running for a lot of the technical awards at the Oscars.
I thought, I'm going to see, because the guy who did this movie has done American films too, hasn't he?
I don't know.
Well, anyway, it has a 97 review rating on Rotten Tomatoes. So it should be seeing some award stuff, don't you think?
Yeah, and I think it released at the right time in America, that it's possible that it
have subtitles, right?
Yeah, it has subtitles. I mean, so it's I don't know. I think it should get some things. I mean, as far as like special effects goes, I mean, it's this and it's Oppenheimer, and there's nothing else that even comes close to it. So those would be the only two movies that I could see for all of those technical awards that should get anything, because this is really amazing special effects.
You know, which I think is interesting because Godzilla, you know, came into being thanks to Oppenheimer.
Yeah, very true.
They have an origin story.
It's a origin story. Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, good double feature. Oppenheimer, Godzilla -1 would be good, because I mean they're very much, you know, from the same time period, and obviously, yeah, it had that impact on it and everything. But yeah, no, it's a moving story, and I highly recommend it.
You know, Ada typed up there Scrooged.
Mm-hmm.
That is also a Christmas movie. I think the one with Bill Murray is one, which is 1988 movie. Did you ever see that? It's a classic.
I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I've never sat down and watched it all. I've seen it on TV, just portions of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good, probably the best take on Scrooged.
Mm-hmm.
Scrooge story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway.
The only other movie I wanted to say I've been watching is they just wrapped up their third special. It was the Doctor Who specials that are running now. David Tennant returned for 3 specials, and they were like co-financed with Disney Plus, and it was on. You can watch it on Disney Plus, which was the first time that they've made that deal, and certainly has got great records, and I think reinvigorated the franchise. Certainly made me watch it. I stopped watching somewhere around the Peter Capaldi era, and so I've watched them, and I'll give this new person a shot because I love Russell T Davies. I think he's one of the great TV writers, and I loved his Doctor Who, so I'll give this one a shot too, and we'll see. I might jump off again. It's a whole other world with its own lore and everything and its own stuff. And even in this, I'm out of my depths because I've missed so many seasons, and they're like referencing things. I'm like, oh, I thought we were starting fresh. No, we're referencing these things. I don't know what you're referring to.
This is why I don't even try. I gave up on Doctor Who back in my Monty Python days.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Well,
I can't even go back there.
You can start with, you know, the new Who's with like Christopher Eccleston from like the 2005 onwards. But at this point now, it's just so many seasons, even from that point on, that it is unwieldy. So yeah, I started around the Matt Smith era and went back and watched all of them, and then got caught up live, and then watched the rest of Matt Smith's, and then a little bit in the Peter Capaldi, and I'm like, I can't anymore. It just got to be just too I don't know. I mean, it's its own thing. Everything's sort of I don't know. It gets to be a little bit much at times, and it's just whenever it's everything. If everything's a world-ending event, nothing's a world-ending event, and so in every week it's like, oh, here's this, and especially in Moffat's era, which this is just talking nonsense to people. It got to be just like millions of Daleks and Cybermen and just things and spaceships, and it's just like I can't even. Just you have lost me, and because it's nothing's real anymore, but. No. But I'd recommend going back and watching all of Russell T Davies' original run. Christopher Eccleston, he's only in for the first season. One of my favorite, probably my favorite Doctor. His part's really good, and David Tennant's part's really good, which is they brought this back, and Donna Noble is my favorite companion. So it was fun revisiting all of that, even though they didn't hit the mark exactly, but they ended it good. So.
Oh, good.
So.
Yeah. I'm not going to go back and
no.
relive Doctor Who.
Yeah. So this week we are talking 2 movies, Paul Giamatti and Alexander Payne. Paul Giamatti, of course, star. Alexander Payne, the director of both of these movies. And we're talking 2004's Sideways and 2023's The Holdovers. And we'll go into each of those. I think I guess during the holdovers, we'll talk about our theater experience as we always do. So get excited about that, as there's always some fun stories there. So
we always have great experiences at the theater. It's because we have situational awareness.
Yes.
Cade and I are both highly in tune with our situational awareness.
Yes, I think that's a good way.
Yes, so we pay attention, in other words, to what's happening around us, and we can't completely zone out from the world. Of course, there was no way to completely zone out of the world anyway. So, what can we say?
What can we say? But we'll get into that. Get excited for that. But first, we're going to talk about what a lot of people have called a modern day classic with Sideways, and we'll kind of dissect that and see if we agree with all that. After this short little musical interlude, I'll give the plot of Sideways. Yes. Okay, I'm giving this one because Diane didn't want to, so here's Sideways. Struggling writer and wine enthusiast Miles, played by Paul Giamatti, takes his estranged friend Jack, played by Thomas Haden Church, on a trip to wine country for a last sort of bonding experience is what this thing says. But Jack is Thomas Haden Church's character is a actor. And he's done a lot of, he used to be a series regular on a few different TV shows. And now he's just does commercial work and everything. And like it says, he's getting married at the end of the week. So this takes place over a week's time as they go on this journey. And then they come back to him getting married. So essentially during this, Miles, Paul Giamatti's character, wants to relax and enjoy wine. Most of the dialogue in this movie is just about wine, and Jack is on search for a fling before he gets married, and they meet Sandra Oh, and she plays Stephanie, and Maya, and they start to have as the poster shows over there, a relationship. They go on double dates and different things. I'm not going to get into too much of the more plot of the movie. We'll kind of talk about it, but that's essentially Sideways. They're going through wine country and talking about wine and wanting to get laid. Diane, what was your thoughts on this movie?
Well, this movie won the Academy Award for Adapted Screenplay.
Sure did.
And the director adapted the screenplay.
Mm-hmm.
The book itself was really 3/4 of it was about wine.
Mm-hmm.
You get people who are wine connoisseurs and they love to talk about wine. And I thought Paul Giamatti just totally nailed that. Mm-hmm. Sticking his nose into that wine glass all the way to the mustache, and then handed it back to her so she could have her wine back. Yeah, that's typical wine person.
Mm-hmm.
They have no clue about what's going on around him. It was hard because I watched Sideways after. I watched the Holdovers. Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of my notes are like, wow, far fewer wrinkles in this movie.
That's what 20 years does. Okay.
I know. In fact, I was even made a little note about how, let's see, it's a good thing that he's not the only one that moved faster 20 years ago. And I bet he didn't think it would happen to him either. I know I didn't. But yeah, but all I could keep thinking was, I was a lot slower. It was a lot faster 20 years ago too.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say this is for Jen, our friend Jen,
mm-hmm.
Who always kind of likes to point out when we have full frontal nudity. And this movie does bring the full frontal nudity
mm-hmm.
once again in
Spoiler
a
alert.
Very disappointing way. Well, it's a 2004 movie. I'm pretty sure everybody knows about this movie. But once again, there were no big highlights on that. I did read where Thomas Haden, when he auditioned for this movie, he auditioned for it in the nude. because he was told that there would be nudity in it. And then he found out later that he was the only one that auditioned for it in the nude, which I kind of love that, that he.
So did you like this movie, Diane?
I did. It was kind of tough. I would not recommend watching these two movies back to back. So very very similar, but they're
not similar.
Yeah, I did, but then they're not similar in another way too. Mm-hmm. So I did like this movie. I wish I had watched it when it came out in 2004.
Yeah.
Instead of after. I've seen Paul Giamatti in other works that he's always been so underrated to me. Mm-hmm. He's just such a good actor, and he makes it look so effortless. Mm-hmm. You never catch him acting.
And he can switch between, he can play comedy and drama, like even in the same line, like he's brilliant at that. Mm-hmm. He's one of our great character actors.
He can be a hero and pathetic in the same scene. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely can do that. When they wreck that car is when, I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. But I love that it had that kind of twisting to it. Mm-hmm. There were parts of it that were completely unexpected. Even though this type of story has been done a lot, there's still, there was parts of it that were really, really unexpected. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good movie.
Yeah. I mean, I was a little bit let down by this. I'm an Alexander Payne fan. I love Election. Election's one of my favorite comedies of all time. And so I like his sort of eye for comedy and different things. And we'll talk later about Holdovers, which he didn't write, but he co-wrote Sideways here. Just this has been raved. I mean, I think it's one of those examples of if I had maybe seen it without it being built up, huge in a lot of people's, this is like in top 100 movies of all time lists. Yeah. And this is things that people are like saying, like, this is just one of the great movies. And to me, I left it being like, that's it. That's what people are saying. Some of those great movies. And it's maybe because it was ahead of other movies. Maybe it did some things first. I don't know. I mean, we're watching it out of the context of when it was made. I think it was very much a 2004 movie. And it seemed to get a lot of the feelings and the time period of that. Because already I think it's showing its age quite a bit, and though I don't have a lot of notes about this movie, but I said that these could not be protagonists in movies today. I really do think that they are. I think that from a modern perspective, I can sort of see in a 2004 perspective how people could like them. I think from a modern perspective, they have zero redeeming qualities, both of them.
Right.
And and I think the movie isn't saying that. I think that the movie thinks they're lovable, and I'm kind of taken back by why the movie thinks that, because they are awful, both of them.
I don't know. I don't know that the movie thinks that they're lovable. Mm-hmm. Do you think that? I didn't get that.
You didn't get that?
That they thought that they were really lovable. I mean, they smashed, Tom, what is his name? Thomas Haden?
Yeah,
his face in this right before he was supposed to get married, which is kind of retribution for his actions. Yeah. Right. So
I think it's fair to say that he's played goofy and played there are aspects of them that's that, and I think at the end of the day you are supposed to find them even their bad behavior is supposed to be somewhat like, I don't know, that's just the way that I viewed it. And especially I think even Paul Giamatti's kind of, you're supposed to like him, and I think he's incredibly from a modern context off-putting. I don't know, I don't know, I just didn't I
think he would probably be off-putting from a 2004 perspective, because he's obviously struggling with post-divorce, right? Mm-hmm. And he's obviously not over his ex-wife, or he's not over losing marriage. Mm-hmm. Right? He was over his ex-wife while he was married to her. What he wasn't over was the actual status of being married, which is
well, he
real,
wanted her to also be kind of unhappy like him.
Yeah.
Like that was also part of it. Yeah.
And I think the journey his character is on is trying to overcome that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. To overcome the loss, I guess, of who you thought you were, and maybe finding who you really are.
Mm-hmm. Do you think he changes that much in the movie?
I think that he has to grapple with a lot of things that he is, as
Mm-hmm.
well as what his friend is, and how he reacts to what his friend is.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they weren't really friends. I mean, he actually says, "Yeah, we were roommates in college," which was obviously decades earlier, right? So Thomas Poore, he has no friends, and obviously Paul Giamatti's character had no friends.
Absolutely.
But somehow he's trying to redeem himself. He realizes that he's not headed in the right direction. That's what I got out of it toward the end.
Which that's fascinating to me. That like. Because you're right, like there's all this stuff that's happened off screen before the movie, but they you get different things about. But the their relationship is something that I find. I mean, that's the most fascinating part of the movie, and it's like, and I don't know if it's been because I would love to sort of talk through like what. Because you're right, it's said that essentially he was his freshman year college roommate. And it is very much hinted at that they're not like really close.
Contemporaries. Yeah, they're not contemporaries.
Yeah.
Right. No. So,
he's in the acting world. This guy is a teacher, a middle school teacher who has aspirations of being a writer, and he's this wine connoisseur, a self-titled wine connoisseur who takes these routine trips to wine country. However, never once has taken Thomas Haden Church, and because they're not they're close, but they're not that close.
No, I think that neither one of them have any friends.
Yes.
So when it came time to pick a best man, this is all Thomas, and Paul Giamatti's not doing anything. Let's face it, his life is a dead end. So
and he took him on the one thing that he's kind of found that he enjoys, or to a certain extent, or something that he can kind of share.
A facade of normalcy.
Yeah.
That he can put up and say, "Look, I'm normal. I'm normal.
Mm-hmm.
I can talk about this one thing."
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, and he's a lot more comfortable, kind of being it's almost like used throughout the movie as a shield. This wine, this idea that like he'll routinely like he feels better acting like he's like from this. Because he knows how to talk about this and use this language, like so it's like a shield. It's a way of like acting superior in many ways to other people, of having this knowledge he's imparting on people, and so that's very much part of the movie. And I just love how later in the movie when he's talking to Maya that he has this take on this wine, and then she's like, actually, I think the exact opposite. And he's like, oh no, you're right. I mean, like I don't know. It has a lot of fun little moments in the movie.
It has a lot of fun moments to it. Mm-hmm. And interesting takes. And I love that Thomas gets caught by the married guy. Mm-hmm. And it was an intentional catching, as you find out later.
Yeah.
That was all intentional. It was a setup, and he got caught in it, and which he kind of deserved anyway. But neither here nor there. It's a movie about relationships or the lack thereof. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was kind of interesting that Paul Giamatti's character in this movie and in The Holdovers takes the same antidepressant.
Yeah. And they're both wannabe writers too.
And they both teach at an all-boys school.
Yeah.
Wait, I was like, whoa, this is too weird.
Was this other one at an all-boys school? In Sideways?
When it showed the classroom where the kid is
reading. Oh, you're right. Yeah.
All boys in uniform.
That's fascinating. It's fascinating because Alexander Payne didn't even write Holdovers. So it just happened to be, I guess, or maybe they added that later. Who knows?
I thought it was. Did you watch Nebraska?
I did. I like Nebraska.
Okay. Well, here's something I think all of his movies have in it, and it is a road trip. There's a road trip in every movie.
Yeah, I don't think Election had it. I don't know. I mean, obviously, The Descendants, they're out in another place that they're not. You know.
Yeah, but still a road trip.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there is some sort of. Yeah.
I don't know. In some ways, I think of this movie is kind of like Paul Giamatti's, character, and it's kind of snobbish.
Mm-hmm.
And in reality, he's very insecure. But he comes off as being snobbish from a Vine perspective. So, but I get that this director is kind of snobbish too about the kind of movies that he thinks people should be watching. I don't know. I could be wrong, but there was full frontal nudity.
He has fun. He has fun with he's snobby, but he also like pokes fun at those characters. Like he kind of has his cake and eat it too. I think that he has comedy that anyone can kind of grab onto. Like it's not like this. I mean, it's not lowbrow comedy by any means at all, but it's not highbrow comedy either. It's like it's smart, but anyone can get it and understand it.
Yeah, he one of the quotes he had was whenever what's his name from Chuck and Larry, Sandberg.
Oh, Adam Sandler.
Yeah, Sandler. When he came on board, they changed his script completely. When he brought his team in because it was had to have that type of humor. So I wonder what the original was like. Yeah. I wonder what the original was like. I do wonder about that. But I do have one question. How did they run down that hill without falling?
Yeah.
I mean, even a young person would have fallen going down a slope that steep. And he's drinking out of a bottle of wine at the same time. Mm-hmm. Okay, that was,
That's true.
That was my other note. How in the world did they do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because, I mean, essentially the movie boils down to this trope that we have in movies where you have, like, it's crazy that the plot really is just the same plot that you get in, like, these sex comedies like American Pie or Eurotrip or whatever, of like, oh, I'm the cool guy and I want to get laid and I'm going to get you, my dork friend, laid, too. Like, that's essentially the plot. And I don't know. I wanted more from this movie, but at the same time, I enjoyed it. I just don't think it is this greatest movie of all time thing. I think Alexander Payne has made better movies than this. And so, and I think Paul Giamatti has made better movies than this. So it's weird that this is the one that people herald and everything. And I think it shows our alcohol problem here in America, that people like it so much. Because this movie had an impact on the wine industry. Like it's well written about that. Like that the Pinot Noir sales went up through the ceiling, and Merlot sales went down following this movie.
Did they really?
Yeah. Yeah,
that's pretty funny.
It is funny, and what's it like? There's been studies out that has apparently said that the sideways effect, that it has actually ruined the quality of Pinot Noir made out of California because they've had to cut it with worse grapes or whatever. And so actually, because of the everyone wanting Pinot Noir, the demand has caused the quality of Pinot Noir to go down.
Well, that can happen.
Yeah. So there you go. This movie had a dangerous impact on on the thing it loves so much.
Which I bet the book is actually a trilogy. Mm-hmm. And the director didn't have any interest in doing the other two.
I'd be interested.
Probably sick of wine by then.
I mean, it's got to be tough when you've made all of these movies that are great and just different types of movies, and everyone always talks about the one movie that you made that was, and that's got to be kind of like, I've made other things, and then everyone's like, oh, you're gonna make a sequel to it? It's like, okay, I've done other stuff, and so I understand that from that perspective. And who knows, maybe he doesn't like the books. Maybe I mean, I don't know what the other ones are about, but maybe he doesn't care for them.
I don't know what they would be about either, but I could see where this one this is had a beginning, a middle, and an end, and that was good. I don't really ever care to find out what happened between Paul and Virginia. And we know what's going to happen with Thomas and the model he was marrying.
Yeah.
That bad boy's up for divorce within a year. So, there's just not any more angst that I want to know about any of these people.
Yes. And I mean, Thomas Haden Church, I mean, I think I was most surprised by him, I think, in the movie. Like, I think that was like, I didn't know him as being able, like, why hasn't he done more comedy roles? Like, and why hasn't he done, like, he almost has like this really charming sort of goofy type character. I mean, he's done a few, but I don't think he's done them, of course, as great as this. This has got, Oscar was an Oscar nominated performance. But it's interesting because you could sort of see him playing that a little bit more.
Probably because of Wings.
Oh, okay.
He was pretty typecast into that. I mean, and then it got hard for him to get roles.
Yeah.
So, he was trying to break into, any kind of role that he could get and keep, getting,
well, and his
same
big
kind of slapstick comedy,
Yeah. His big, like, blockbuster movie, he was, Sandman and Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man 3. And,
yeah, that was his superhero movie.
Mm-hmm. And so, like, that's the only time I feel like he's ever been in a big budget movie that I can think of. Like that action film or anything like that. But maybe
he was
something
in
I'm forgetting.
Tombstone.
Yeah.
He was in Tombstone.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. What about Steve?
What About Steve? Did you ever see What About Steve?
Let me see.
Or is it All About Steve?
All About Steve. Yes. I did. I did see
that. Was
All
whenever
About
I was
Steve.
saying comedic roles, that was the only other one that I could think of, and he actually is really funny in that movie. And that movie's one of the most insane movies ever. It is insane. So if you've never seen it, it's not good. In fact, I
have seen it. It's not good.
That was the year that Sandra Bullock, she won the Academy Award for Blindside and won the Razzie Award for Worst Actress for All About Steve. And it is an insane, crazy movie. And I think it's going to eventually, and it could be any moment now, people are going to re-find that movie and be like, wait, what is this? This was the plot of the movie? The big third act thing was a bunch of kids falling in a sinkhole. And it's played for laughs, and that it is. Sandra Bullock's performance is insane in this movie. She plays a crossword. She makes crosswords for a newspaper. It's watch it. I kind of want to revisit it too. And he plays a news reporter. Is that what Thomas Haden Church plays? I want to say he plays the news reporter or like some sort of journalist of some sort. Yeah.
I mean, it's got Bradley Cooper in it, and it's got a lot of people in it.
Oh, he was in Easy A. That was another one he was in.
Oh, Ken Jeong was in it too.
Yeah, it had a lot of...
Howard Hesseman. Oh my gosh, I forgot. So many people in that movie. And it talk about a terrible movie.
Mm-hmm.
How
6% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, this is one of those where it had all the elements were supposed to, make this a great movie, a great comedy, and it was terrible. And if I remember right, I mean, Sandy commits, man. She is committed in this movie.
She's wearing these like boots all throughout the movie, those rubber boots, and like she has like this aesthetic that's just bizarre, and she's swinging for the fences for this, and it's just got to be a director leading this group of actors just down the wrong path, and they're all like going for it, and it is like it's like watching like a bizarro movie from like another universe where it's like it's like this was even made on planet Earth. It is insane. So definitely, it's It's crazy. Yeah, she won the Razzie Award. It's famous for that now. She went to accept the because a lot of people don't accept the Razzie Awards because they're insults to you. Yeah, but she went to go and accept this Razzie Award, and then the next day she won the Academy Award. So
it was it's playing on HBO. If people are out there listening, if you have never seen All About Steve, you should watch it. You should absolutely watch this movie just because it will make you laugh, if for any other reason.
Sometimes at it, most of the time at it.
Most of the time. I would say most of the time.
But she's been in a lot of, like, Sandra Bullock, like, routinely when people say bad or great performances in bad movies, Sandra Bullock has had a lot of them. And one that I point to often, it's what I love her performance, but the movie's just so misguided. And that is Our Brand is Crisis. I don't know if you ever saw that. And she's like this PR sort of spin person for this campaign. She was like ousted from the U.S. politics, and she goes and tries to run this campaign in South America, and it ends up becoming this hotbed for all these other political operatives to come in. Yeah. And Billy Bob Thornton comes in, and it's a bunch of different things. And Anthony Mackie's in it, and her performance is extraordinary. It's just in a movie that is just, it falls apart. But that central performance, it's, I think, her best performance, and the ones that I was just kind of most shocked by, and I just always wish they put, like, Sandra Bullock is so committed of an actress that it's just, I wish the movies that she had was just sometimes a little bit better and of better quality, and that's one that I'm like, that is such an amazing central performance. Then they just miss it completely. They don't even know what they have there.
But she's in a lot of really good movies too, so you hit sometimes you miss, but
it's never on her fault. It's never her fault.
Never, it's not on her.
So that's why I think it was even unfair to say she was the worst actress. She was in All About, or of the year in that movie too, because she's swinging for the fences, and we should applaud that, and not
just because the movie's terrible. Right?
Yeah. And just because she's missing the ball, she's definitely missed the ball in All About Steve, but she's swinging. Like her life depends on it. Well, anyways, that's Sideways. Is that all you have to say about Sideways? Anything else? Would you recommend people to watch it?
I would recommend people to watch it. I think you'd enjoy it, maybe. It's a Sunday afternoon and it's raining and you have nothing else to do. Pop some popcorn, watch a movie. I mean, the thing with Paul Giamatti is he is so effortless in his acting that he's enjoyable to watch. Even characters that are not great characters,
Yeah.
Even if you wouldn't even like the character he's playing, you would enjoy watching him.
Absolutely.
So I'd say, yeah. I don't watch these two movies together, though.
I would agree.
It really ruined. I'm glad I watched the Holdovers first now. Because if I had watched Sideways first and then the Holdovers, I think I'd have been disappointed in the Holdovers. And I'm glad that I'm not disappointed in it.
I agree, because you would have kind of started seeing parallels, and you would have thought, well, maybe that was him when he was young. I mean, I'm glad I watched it this way too. I guess I would recommend you to watch it just so that, because I do think it's a film that has had an impact and everything, and people still talk about it to this day and everything. And it's important to learn sort of about these people and wine and all that and everything, I guess. And the performances are great and everything. I don't think it holds up to today's standards all that well, but it could be just because it was, of its time. And some movies are of its time and everything, and that is fine, and it's good for watching it from like a time capsule perspective. And so wasn't blown away by this movie, but I think it's an easy watch. You have a fun time watching it. It's a simple, fun movie that, I think if you're looking for something to watch, then watch it, and just so at least you can have said you watched it.
Right.
Yeah.
Did this come out before the bachelor party one with Right, with
it's before
Bradley
Hangovers.
Cooper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
about
Okay.
4 or 5 years before it.
So we're all leading up now to Hangover. So this is kind of the lead up to the
And it's
Hangover movie.
and it's more prestige-y. I don't know. I guess you would say. I mean, it's more. It's not. It's not as lowbrow, even though it does have some of that. I mean, like that. Its concept is, but I don't. It doesn't go about. It goes about it in a somewhat more classy way and everything. I guess you would say.
You know, Sandra Oh is in it.
Sandra. We did not mention Sandra Oh in it. Yes, Sandra Oh is in it.
She is in it too, and she was actually married to the director at the time.
Oh, I forgot that they were married. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
And, one of the things that there was parallel with a character, when he runs into his ex-wife at the wedding, and she has her new husband, Ken, with her.
Yeah.
The guy that plays Ken looked almost exactly like a guy that's in the Holdovers that he runs into while he's in Boston.
Oh, okay.
To the point I had to go check
And see if they're the same person.
If it was the same guy, and it wasn't. This guy that was in the Holdovers was actually in, was it Billions with Paul Giamatti. Yeah, they were probably filming Billions someplace close by. And he goes, "Oh yeah, I can come over for a day."
Yes, there was a. I'm trying to think. There was like a cameo, or it was like a weird thing at the golf club. I'm trying to think. There was like some character actor that I've just seen in tons of stuff, and he was just there like his grandson, and he's like, "Hey," and that's an actor I've seen in tons of things, and I was trying to, I couldn't put my finger on who that was, but he was somebody that's been in a bunch of stuff too, but I was just like, that's a weird kind of thing that. Just to have this character actor just appear for like 2 lines, but no. The golf scene. A lot of people point to the golf scene. I thought it was fine. It was just, I don't know. There were a lot of really great moments, but I didn't think it ever transcended the medium. Like it was always just,
But at the time,
yeah. I mean, I still don't see the rules that it broke.
Yeah,
that's the thing that I'm like, I don't. What's the rules? That
I don't know.
Broke?
2004, we didn't have much full frontal nudity either.
Yeah,
I'm keep bringing that up in case Jennifer's speeding past anything.
In case anyone's falling asleep from our conversation.
The full frontal nudity of the husband chasing him down the street.
And that's a character actor who's in a lot of things too. I haven't ever seen him, fully nude before, so that I now can't unsee it. So
I didn't even notice who it was.
You didn't notice who it was. He's in things. He's in things.
Good.
Great. Well, that's sideways. Up next, we're going to talk about in theaters now the new pairing of Paul Giamatti and Alexander Payne, titled The Holdovers. And Diane will give the plot of that movie after a short little intermission. Be sure to grab something from the concession stand.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's intermission time. All these delicious treats are waiting for you at the refreshment stand. Delicious fresh popcorn, ice-cold cola, and candy you know and love. They're all ready for you now, so you won't have to miss any of the feature. Come and get them.
And now, on with the show.
Okay, let's talk about The Holdovers. It is set in 1970, which I love films that are set in the 1970s, but the movie is basically about a remote boys-only boarding school where one unlucky teacher, played by Paul Giamatti, and a few students are left behind to make whatever they can out of Christmas break after everyone heads out for the holidays. It's obviously in the north because there's a lot of snow involved, just to give everybody a heads up. It starts out where teachers and students are firmly entrenched in their respective corners of authority versus being privileged students. It becomes, though, a fairly leisurely movie about opening up, admitting fault and weaknesses, and trusting other people. There's a character that's played by, I want to make sure I get this right, Divine Joy Randolph, plays Mary Lamb, the school's cook, who is freshly mourning her military son's recent death. She portrays the real tragedy in this movie, which puts every other character's trials into perspective. In the end, all the characters are changed from their experiences of being together over this break. And I don't want to say any more than that without Cade to say, spoiler alert. I don't think it's a big spoiler alert. There's a lot of drinking in this movie, too. I think if Paul Giamatti is either an alcoholic for real or is drinking
just
a lot
good
of...
at playing it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Alexander Payne's the person I'd be most concerned about. But,
yeah.
But, I mean, I guess he didn't write it, so, man. I don't know. I mean, so I think this is a really good example of, I said this to Diane, we try not to talk about anything, but this is the one thing I sort of left the movie with is like, this is the first time I think I've seen a movie where Alexander Payne, I guess Nebraska, he maybe didn't write, oddly, even though it seemed I started looking back through, and most of the time he has some sort of writing credit, or he's the sole writer of things. And so this is one that I see that it's a director writing somebody else's or directing somebody else's words, and someone who's mostly known as a writer-director, and just being able to add his own spin. And I think like even this and, Black and White with Nebraska, those two films probably would have been a better double feature, Nebraska and this. But how a director can add their visual spin, and he's becoming a little bit more experimental with his visual language. And this one, as Diane's saying, it's set in 1970. It even has like the feel of a film that was made in 1970. Mm-hmm. They're shooting it on film. It has like even like the banner that comes up in the beginning. It says this picture's rated R and everything. Mm-hmm. And it in the title cards, just all of it is made to look and feel like that type of movie. And it has the pace of a movie like that. It has the storytelling of how we're going to really just follow these characters and be in this place. I mean, at one point there's a snap zoom, like there's these things that are of that language of that time. It just feels so cozy and so interesting. And I have to hand it to Alexander Payne for really giving a visual language to this film that I think really elevated it, aside from just these amazing performances. It didn't distract from these amazing performances either. Some films, when they have all of this visualness and all these different things, it's like a director saying, look at me, but really you end up, at first it's like, oh, this is interesting, and then it kind of just slips away and you're with these characters, and it works really well. So I all that to say, I really, really like this movie a lot.
I did too, and I do like the way that you had said cozy, and that really resonated with me because the conversations that the characters have with each other, the way that he shoots those and the way that he has those stages, it's almost as if they're the only two people on earth, and they're having this conversation with each other and being frankly as honest as they possibly can be in that moment. And I have to give a lot of credit to the young man who played opposite Paul Giamatti. What was his name? Dominic?
Oh, I don't know. But yeah, you're right. Dominic Sessa.
Yeah. Because you think about who he's acting.
That's the only thing he's ever been in. He's not been in any TV show, any film. That's his only film.
The only thing he's been in, which gifted kid.
Wow.
Gifted kid, that's for sure. Or, it's a situation that he was in. I don't know, but which one, but yeah, it was real. And of course, Paul Giamatti, and we've talked about this before, he never phones it in. He makes it look effortless. The character that he's playing is very like the character in Sideways in some ways, but then in some ways not like at all. Not like him at all.
Well, he has like a tender spot that's actually really endearing.
He does. But you think he does it for the most of the film.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. And
I don't know, maybe it's just me. I've always kind of felt bad for teachers and everything of that. So I always kind of was always like, he's got some sort of problem that he's working through.
He's got got to be something.
Yeah, it's got to be something.
This way, right? Yeah. I know that feeling.
But people are like, in the theater, I don't know if this is the time in which we have our theater thing conversation, but I felt like the movie, I don't know, at least the people thought that he was awful or whatever, and I'm like, he was mean to the students, but I don't know. They were also mean back at him, but I guess we're more forgiving of that. I don't know why, but people are more forgiving of them just saying insults to this teacher behind his back than him being kind of mean to them to their face.
Well, it's always been okay for white privileged boys to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
It's kind of always been that way.
Yeah.
I mean, you could tell from the comments in the crowd that, absolutely. They're totally justified in their privilege.
Do we talk about it, Diane? Do we talk about our theater experience?
No, let's get that over with. Because the reality is, we both like this movie.
Yeah.
Obviously. You said you liked it. I loved this movie too. So let's talk about our theater experience.
We were in a small theater.
Very small.
And it was pretty. So I mean, to be fair, this movie is outside a little bit of its window. It had come out a few weeks back, and this was the only theater in Tulsa that was showing it at this stage. And so we were.
It's probably the last weekend for it.
Yeah. I mean, it had a lot more showings than I'd imagine, being that it was the only one. But yeah, it was in the smallest theater that they had, and every row was full. And the row behind us, there was a couple there. I don't even know what they look like. I don't know. I didn't ever see them.
I would have thought they were older than me, but then sometimes I think people are older than me that are a decade or two younger. So.
I would say that my guess is that they were.
I'm so shocked by how old and crudgety people get.
Yes.
It just shocks me.
She was crudgety, but I would say, like, just based on the vocals, I would say she was younger than you by maybe a decade or 15 years. I would say she's in her 50s. Is how and just the visual I made in my head. Okay. But again, I did not see them.
No, neither one of us saw them. We were like trying not to look.
Yeah. So the entire movie. So whenever I first got there, they were like talking during the previews, which, I mean, I'm okay with that. You can talk during the previews. That's fair game. I mean, it's a little bit annoying to be like, I want to see that, but it's okay. I'll allow it.
We've all done that.
Yes, that's fine. But it's when the movie starts, she talks throughout it and has these weird interjections at just like, she'll wait till the movie's like at its soft point so she can make a loud proclamation about how she's feeling about the movie at that any given moment. So anytime there's a soft, tender moment, she says, "That's sad."
That's why I thought she had to be older than me. My mom used to do that, and my mom's 27 years older than me, or was. And so
maybe she was older than you. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. I just am like, what is wrong with you? Come on.
I wrote down a few things that I remember because I wanted to write down immediately when I left the theater of just different things. She says, "How awful," at one point. Yes. And then she says, I remember with the Paul Giamatti, he yells at these people. She's like, "What an asshole." That's what she says. And then one of the most heartbreaking things.
As if they weren't faded enough in the movie.
Yeah. That's probably the most used word in the entire thing. But yeah, I mean, she's like, it's like, yeah, we know it. Like, why are you saying like that you just feel it? I don't know. But yeah, she said, "That's heartbreaking." And
I think I actually said that's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my heart, or something like that. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's fair to be like,
"Oh, you to hear me."
Yeah. I think you go.
She's like announcing to the world.
Yeah. She's like she's like announcing it as if like, you guys don't know how to feel about this, but let me tell you how.
Let me tell you how
I'm feeling, and I don't know if you're feeling this way, but you should be, because this
movie has a wonderful soundtrack, which we'll talk about in a little bit. There's a Cat Stevens song in this movie, And maybe you have to be of a certain age. In the 70s, Cat Stevens was huge. Anyway, I almost said really loud, "Oh, it's Cat Stevens!" what happened, but I decided not to.
That you start, yeah. But the all-time, the best one, the one that we left the theater talking about.
Yeah.
So in the middle of this movie, they talk. Okay, so the guy, the kid has asked him, "Hey, I want to go." He's like, "You can go," after they've warmed up to each other. I guess this is a little bit of a spoiler. It's not a huge spoiler because it's a huge section of the movie and it's just the beginning part of it. He's like, "I want to go to Boston and I want to go," and he first is reluctant, but he's like, "Okay, I'll take you to Boston." And so they go throughout it and they're saying, "We're at Boston. This is Boston. This is we're having such a good time. I want." They're hitting all the sites in Boston, and I mean the movie has now been in Boston for a half hour. They're almost out of Boston, and the lady very loudly says to her husband, "Now where are they? New York City?
Is this New York?
Is this New York?"
Lord help me.
And then the husband has to silently, be like, "It's Boston."
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's the only time I actually ever heard him.
Yes, I feel you're right.
Yeah. The only time I actually heard him. I just thought, really and truly, at some point, somebody could do them a favor, and it should have been us. We should have done this.
Yes.
We should have said, "You need to stream your movies from now on. Don't come to the theater.
Yeah.
You don't belong here. You've been watching movies at home for too long. You cannot be in public any longer."
Yeah.
Oh my Lord, help me.
Well, it's like they wanted the way. I mean, we're just attaching things to them, but but it felt like they were wanting other people to join in with them. I don't know. I don't know what it was. Did they forget other people were there? It was bizarre. It was bizarre.
It was almost like that. It was almost like they'd gotten so used to watching movies at home that now that's the only way they can watch it. I mean, it's how they talk during movies, which, it used to drive me crazy. I would go over to mom and dad's and to watch a TV show with them or whatever. And oh my Lord, you'd miss half the dialogue as they talk, but just stop talking. Please just stop talking.
She's like, at the very end of it, we see two people walk in. "Is that his parents? We're watching the movie with you, lady."
Right.
We don't. The guy's watching it with you. He's seeing the exact same information as you has for the first time. Like,
yes,
what do you mean is that his parents?
Yeah.
It took me out every single time, but and the only reason I didn't do anything in return or loudly talk because I'm trying to watch the movie and I was really into it. I really, like I said. Do you have any more to say about this lady, Diane, before we get back into the movie?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Her husband needs to not let her go out. Mm-hmm. He needs to stop taking her out.
Well, she could turn and whisper. If you heard murmurs, it's fine.
That's true. That's different. Yeah.
Like she could, and like he's obviously like we barely auditorily heard him say Boston because also, I wanted to hear how he reacted to it.
Well, and he may have been responding to her other times. We just didn't hear it.
It is possible.
Because I'm pretty sure there was a couple of times in that movie I probably had an expression. I try to be so quiet that people around me can't hear it.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be out loud. When that Cat Stevens song came on, I was like, "Oh, my heart. I love 70s movies." Okay.
Yes. No, I mean, it had just different world things. I mean, like one of the teachers says she got that tree for like the lunar landing because he said it was space age or whatever.
Oh,
and he's like, I got it to commemorate the lunar landing.
I had one of those trees growing up. We all did. In the 60s, that was big, the aluminum tree. Mm-hmm. And they came with, and we had one. I don't know if she didn't, obviously, but this color wheel that you plugged in. And you positioned it to shine on the tree, and it would change colors of the tree as it went around.
Interesting.
Yeah, you put lights on it. You put this color wheel, and it would change the color. The red would shine against that aluminum, and it was really pretty. Yeah, I wish I still had that tree.
Yes,
people look for that tree now.
Yeah, I bet.
I think they're knockoffs now. Where you can actually buy. buy one, but it didn't hold up well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure we had a dog or a cat somewhere along the line that took that tree apart.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the clothing. I thought, whoever did the production on this, they do not get enough credit.
Mm-hmm.
The cars, the clothing, the hairstyles, those boys and their hair. It was, they were all perfect for the time, the era and the time frame. I'm always amazed by when you have production at that level of quality.
Yeah.
And I was going to look to see who the production designer was, but hopefully they get nominated because they really did a wonderful job.
Well, you just, like I said, you could feel the movie and you could like everything. I mean, I love the setting of it. I mean, it's another double feature we could do is this and Black Coat's Daughter. A school in the middle of its winter break. And the isolation there. But this, of course, goes on a totally different direction. But yeah, it's a great way to get these characters alone and to be like, the holiday times is the time of like reflection and everything and heading in.
And they're isolated.
They're isolated. They're alone. They're with, it's just this great thing of this idea that you're with, everyone else is with their families. And these are people that don't have families to be with and everything. Right. And so like they end up creating their own little family from that. And
it wasn't, oh gosh, because that's kind of a trope. I mean, you've seen it.
It's not so on the nose. It's
not. There's a lot of depth to these characters, and there's a lot of the interactions between them are not what you expect all the time. And so, yeah, I mean, Paul Giamatti's character doesn't go from being crudgety to being the world's greatest person. He's still an asshole.
Yeah. But, it sets you up to think that he's going to interact with the students in a different way. Like that's the one of the big things, and it goes right back to. And so, but he reacts in a different way. Like it's growth in ways that you don't kind of expect and everything. But it's much more natural. It follows through with these character arcs in interesting ways of like his past, and as things like the places that they reveal these characters' past is like throughout this movie in interesting ways. Like whenever you think it's doing one thing, it ends up like kind of subverting that and going a different way, and it's not everything you think's not going to be exactly how it goes. And these. I want to talk about the writing of this because there's just so many aspects.
No cliches.
There's no cliches in this movie.
And you think, when it started off, I thought, oh gosh, this is going to be the cliched movie we've seen ever since Dead Poets Society and, all that.
Yes.
And Black Coat's Daughter.
Well, it ends up being like, so it's interesting. So there's a lot of different, there's these, the movie is broke up with these set pieces and these different things of like, here we're going to put these people in this sort of position in this location and these different things. And each one works so well. Like I think that Christmas party stands out to me as just one of my favorite sections of the movie of just these, because you end up breaking these characters apart, and like it's one of the first times that you see them kind of separate out, and they end up sort of falling inward on themselves in different ways. And and I found that to be really well done, but not so the way this is written is so interesting because it's not the way that they do exposition in this should be taught, because of like it doesn't ever come off heavy-handed. Like it is like, and they constantly, this is just conversations, and nothing ever does, like these reveals and things that are happening and all that stuff, and how you get to learn about these characters and their hopes and wants and their past and everything. It never comes off as being clunky. It never comes off as being insincere. It never comes off being it's just narrative. Narrative. Like you never really get, you're right, that it never feels like a film. It just feels like people just talking and characters evolving over time. It is, this movie should be nominated for
and it's
best
not just
screenplay.
Like, well, when I was a young guy,
it
doesn't get portrayed that way at all. I mean, you find out about Paul's history not through, oh, here's my history.
Yeah.
You find out about a few of his conversations that he's having. and I loved the arc of his character.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
because he really doesn't change.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
he changes to a certain like he wouldn't have done what he did with that character before the movie. Like it's through the actions that take place and through him.
If the other boys had not been taken off to go skiing on a helicopter,
yes,
if he had been getting down to one-on-one,
mm-hmm.
was what needed to occur for him to go through the arc that he went through.
Yes. Yeah. I agree.
Because or we wouldn't have had this movie.
Yes. And that's where I was kind of like,
and that didn't even happen until about halfway through.
And that's crazy. Yeah, you're right. Like, I mean, you're essentially, when it first sets up, I'm like, oh, this is different than I thought it was. There's a lot more kids here than I thought there was going to be. And then like, how do you, and they end up getting rid of the kids and they go off on this thing. And that,
they don't kill them or anything. No.
They got rid of the kids.
No child genocide kind of thing.
No, they get taken away in a helicopter.
And it is an old helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not. Yeah, it's for the time. It was new for its time.
And I think that was interesting. Like, because like you could think, I was doing Dead Poets or whatever. Like you. I think it works on this weird meta level too, of like kind of just looking at it from like how are you're thinking that it's going to be these different films and everything, but it ends up sort of just being this one-on-one drama and everything. But that's to me when the movie, of course, those are everything you remember about the movie is as soon as it's those three characters and it's just these conversations that they're having. It's just superb. Like, I mean, it's superb writing and it's superb. And you just, I'm like, oh, I could just keep watching this forever. Just these characters just talking and existing and working out their problems.
Well, and the characters that he brings in, right, for in various points,
yes,
really add to the narrative. Don't take away from it. And they're not setups. They're just to add to the three primary characters as we go along, right?
Yes, you're absolutely right. All of the side characters are excellently written, and they come in at various points. You write to add to these characters in interesting ways, and each one, the other teacher for her Christmas party and all that adds a lot of stuff to Paul Giamatti. And I mean, it's just planned out just expertly. The janitor. There's just routinely these characters come. Her sister, like all of that ends up being just so.
The person that has that Christmas party is the secretary, or the admin.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, admin. Yeah.
Right. For the headmaster.
That's right.
And she kind of gives you a lot of information about Paul Giamatti's character just in their interaction. Because she's the first character besides him that you actually meet when she brings the cookies.
Sure.
And so it was a nice setup for her portrayal down further in the movie.
And that's another example of like whenever you move like a very meta sort of thing of like it doesn't ever feel meta, but you as an audience you're apprehensive of like tropes from these sorts of movies when you see it, and it's like things are setting up and you're like, oh no, is the movie going to go in this sort of very sort of routine way? And that's a really good example of they get to this Christmas party and you think that they're going to do this sort of average love story sort of thing for both of them, and they're all going to get and the janitor, they're all going to get their love interest, and that movie is going to now pivot to be that, and they're all going to get in hijinks. It's all going
to pair off.
Yes. And then those sort of go different ways from how the movie goes. And I think that's another way that it just works really, really well. It's like it doesn't doubt the audience. Like it knows what the audience is thinking throughout it. I mean, the lady says how awful, and that's heartbreaking throughout the movie. So they know what they're doing. The movie's smarter than that lady there in the audience.
That is true.
And it's doing that, and it's like we know that what you expect from a movie like this, but we're going to actually kind of do something different, and it's still going to be satisfying. At the end of the day, it's a very satisfying movie. I have three notes. I have the lady in the audience. I have the other one that's just a big. This is my type of feel-good movie, one that drags you through despair before giving you some hope. It's a feel-good movie, but just know you're gonna go through the despair of human existence throughout it.
Right. Right. And you're going to find out that some of these characters take the same antidepressant.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And he doesn't learn that about Paul Giamatti's character. Like Paul, that's a, like, there's ways to sort of make it where they're all understanding of all of their pains. Like they're all sort of aware of everything. But that's just a thing for Paul to know. Like it's very well thought out of like, here's the things that they share. Here's the things that causes them to see the other person as a human. Like, and it's sometimes shared and sometimes it's just something that they keep on with themselves. It's just a really well written movie. But the other third note that I want to talk about this is Divine Joy Randolph deserves the Academy Award for this.
Just a stellar performance.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. She's the one that gave this movie the heart.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't have gotten that just off the Paul or this Dominic kids. I mean, their characters are wonderful and they're well played, and but she is just, without her, this isn't a movie.
Mm-hmm.
You have no heart in this movie at all.
Yeah,
and the
she gives the perspective through the entire movie. Like that's the perspective. Yeah,
yeah. I think that's what I tried to say, not very well, but
no,
she's the one who gives you the real tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
What real tragedy looks like.
It keeps the entire film grounded in like, all of our problems are this, but it's nothing compared to this problem. And it's just sort of the thing that's hanging over the film as we deal with our things, there's also this thing that's larger than all of that, and she's able to even like, while she's going through all of this, have this perspective that the other people, like kind of put their kind of, here's Paul Giamatti. Like, it's all interesting sort of triangle of things where like Paul Giamatti's sticking up for her, and you sort of, at first you're like, well, that's interesting. Is it just because a colleague sort of situation? Later on, you learn all this interesting stuff about Paul Giamatti that kind of colors all the things that you had seen before. But he's sticking up for her, and is very like, he doesn't really get all this upset. That's one of the things that he gets incredibly upset about, is one of the other kids, disparages her in a way. He gets pretty upset with her, but she doesn't get upset with the kid. And later on, you sort of see her perspective of like, these people don't have anybody either, and like that. I mean, it's just a beautiful film. In that performance in particular, every single scene she's in could be the Oscar nominee scene that they play. Like, I have never seen someone who just hits it every single time, and it from all of these different angles. I mean, it is every single scene of hers is extraordinary.
It really is, and I hope that we see some nominations for her in a supporting role. I kind of almost hate that, because it's almost like you need 2 supporting roles nominations, because she deserves one for sure.
Yeah. And I think this is exactly how you make a supporting character, and this is how you write someone who's going through tragedy. Like, I see this and I compare it to like how they could have. This is what I was wanting from like Lily Gladstone's character from Colors of the Flower Moon. Like, if they wrote it in a sort of way that just gave the movie to, they give the movie to this character routinely. She's a supporting character. She colors the entire film, but they let the entire movie rest on her shoulders throughout this movie. And they just keep giving it to her, and they keep giving, because she keeps knocking it out of the park every single time. And it's not distracting. It's not, it elevates the movie. It doesn't distract from the other performances. In fact, it elevates them. It's the perfect supporting role, but it's what, leaves the audience in this way. And I think, of course, Lily is more than capable of doing something like that. And that's what I was wanting from that role, is giving it to her. The movie having the trust to give it to Lily. And so that's just for that comparison's sake. I think that Lily elevated it the absolute best that she could, and she should get nominated for it. But I think this role is just a movie that, gives it to the actor and lets them excel. From what the movies I've seen so far, I think Divine should get it. Should win.
I agree. No, we haven't seen them all, that's for sure.
No,
But
that's true.
But from the movies that we've seen so far, she is in Only Murders in the Building.
She
Plays a
is.
detective, and that's where most people know her from.
She was in The Idol.
Lost.
The
She was in The Idol. She was in the Lost City with Sandra Bullock.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, good. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about her career. I mean, she can be really funny, and like this, she showed, wow, she can knock it out of the park too.
Yeah.
Just from a dramatic perspective.
Yeah, this is of the movies I've seen that she's in. This is it's an incredible performance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No,
Yeah. And you don't see too many movies that, like you said, where they will just have the movie rest on that supporting actor's shoulders.
Yeah, they don't.
Let's just let the movie sit here for a moment. The one thing that I did read about the director of this movie, that anytime he's been nominated for an Academy Award, so is Martin Scorsese.
Fascinating. So they just pair up. They just pair up right there together.
They're just paired up together.
That's always interesting because I think there's these directors have breaks most of the time, unless you're like Ridley Scott or something, where you're doing multiple movies a year. Yeah. Most directors have years in between, and so and so they have these breaks and times, and so that's interesting. I would love to sort of see that sort of graft of like, here's when each of these sort of prominent directors have had theirs and when they lined up. Fincher, will sometimes, will take years or something to do things. So if they've always end up landing, that's funny. That's funny to know that Alexander Payne, when he does it, it lands right there at that time.
I don't know if this will be up for any award considerations, this movie, but I hope so.
I've heard good. I mean, I've heard things about Divine. I've heard things about Paul getting nominations, and so I hope so, and I think Alexander Payne deserves it, and I definitely think that the script writer deserves a nomination for this, because this is not an easy feat. What he did here was a high wire act. This is not an easy. This is much more complicated to script than 99% of films. This is an incredibly tricky thing to write that the way that it's written, and it's done so expertly. Very, very difficult.
Yeah, I just look up who that was. His name's David Hemingson. Hemingson. He wrote The Deep End, Whiskey Cavalier, Kitchen Confidential with Bradley Cooper, American Dad. Let's see. Anyway, he's had a few nominations too, so I don't know. We'll see. But it was definitely being able to intertwine all of those stories together and make them so relevant to each other when they weren't related at all. It was really, really masterful.
Yeah, it looks like he comes from TV. He's done a lot of executive producing and writing for TV, which is interesting. It's very interesting. And I think that Alexander Payne taking that script and making it, taking a visual part of it. I already said all I want to say about that. I'm excited to do that. I'm excited to see the Oscars. I guess we'll say here that we plan on doing a Oscars live show when on Oscars night, and we'll pick 2 movies that we haven't reviewed yet that will be one of the Oscar nominees. We'll decide those later, what those are going to be, and we'll talk about them while also sort of reacting to the Oscars. So with this and with what other ones we Priscilla. I don't know if Priscilla ended up getting anything, but Oppenheimer will. I'm trying to think of anything else that we've watched here on the show that could get nominees, but I don't think The Killer will. but yeah, Oppenheimer and Barbie, I guess, might probably get some production design things and stuff. I mean, there might be acting. Who knows? It might be a surprise. But I've seen May December. We'll get some things probably. So we'll see. We'll decide later what are the two that we're going to watch in preparation for that. But I'm excited to do that. Are you excited to do that, Diane?
I am excited to do that. Although I'm going to be coming off a cruise for that show, so I'm going to be exhausted.
Yeah.
Number one. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, just, spend some of your cruise time watching some films and...
Probably not going to happen. I don't plan on staying that sober. So, yeah.
Well, have a fun time with that and everything. So, yeah, I mean, I guess we should wrap up the Holdovers and then we'll get to preview time. Holdovers, I would highly recommend it. I think it's an amazing film. I think that you should, if you can, go to a theater and watch it. I wish it was on streaming right now. I think it'd be doing really well if it was on streaming right now because it's perfect movie to see this time of the year. I guess you can rent it, but for an ungodly amount of money. So I don't know. Hopefully it gets into streaming real quickly, or you go to the theater and watch it because it is an excellent, excellent film that just works on every level. I don't think there's a bad part of the movie at all. I don't think there's a time in which any of the actors are off and doesn't work. I don't think that there's a time in which the directors sleep at the wheel. I don't think there's a time that a single word in the screenplay is wrong. It is a perfect film, and that is very rare that you see that. It might not be your cup of tea. I don't think it will end up being my top favorite of this season. I don't think it might not even make it in my top 10 favorite movies of the year. I don't know. I haven't looked at that, but of just new releases. But it is undoubtedly a perfect film, which is very, very rare. Diane, would you recommend this movie?
Yes, I would recommend paying $20 to rent it.
I'd recommend those two people in our theater to have paid $20 to rent it.
I wish they had.
Yeah. I would have given them $20 to leave the theater.
That's right. Giving them the $20 and they could go home and watch it. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Well, great. That is the Holdovers, and we're going to head into preview time, where we preview upcoming attractions.
And now, preview time. When it comes to entertainment, you can't beat a good film. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
Once again, we're going to have to postpone Jennifer Lawrence night here on Double Feature Movie Club. We are so sorry to do that to Jennifer Lawrence. We did that, of course, this week. Diane reminded me, and we have issued a formal apology to Miss Lawrence and her team for not fulfilling that promise that we
that we would watch two of her movies.
Yeah.
that neither one of us have seen.
Yeah, neither one of us have seen, so we don't know. They could be, the greatest movies of all time, but we don't know. So we apologize to anyone who is looking forward to Jennifer Lawrence night, and to anyone who is from her entourage that was wanting us to do that as well. And we're not doing it again next episode either, so we're sorry. It will once again be postponed. Do sincerely apologize to everyone affected by that. The two films, so we are not here next week because, fun fact, this will be a fun thing to announce here. On Saturday night, you can join us live on our Twitch, not YouTube, twitch.tv/the Cade Thomas. If you want to see us live stream, and we'll be live streaming our sister podcast, Cade and Friends. We'll be having their holiday special, so tune in for that. If you want to see it live, you'll want to go to watch it on twitch.tv. I don't know, probably around 7.
Annual Christmas podcast.
Yes. So if you want to see all the stuff, because there'll be stuff cut, there will be the only way to ever see the uncut version will be on our Twitch channel, and it will go away. So just know that. But then later it will be on YouTube, cut down and available to watch that version.
This is the only podcast I know of that actually, at least on Twitch, you can actually live stream. It's during an actual party.
It's during a party. I think we should probably sell what this holiday special is. Yes, it's at.
Is it just you and some people talking?
Yes.
This is like a party is happening around you, and you guys.
Who knows what's going to happen?
Who knows? Who knows?
We're going to be at a party, at Diane's annual Christmas party, like we did last year, if you check that out. There'll be a lot of really great guests. I don't want to say anybody just yet, so just be surprised by that. If you watch Cade and Friends, there'll be a lot of people that you know. If you watch Double Feature Movie Club, there'll be people that you know. So it has, it's
a crossover event.
It's a crossover event. So, so definitely check that out. It's fun. We'll talk, I'm sure we'll talk Christmas movies. We'll talk any crazy thing. So definitely
there may be Christmas movies playing in the background. You just don't know.
You just don't know. I think the only people that we can sort of say will definitely be there will be myself for Cade and Friends, and Alex. Alex will be there as my co-host, so that's exciting. And Diane will be there because it's her Christmas party. So that is the only people that we will actively confirm.
Actually, I think of this more as your Christmas party. And I am just the caterer.
The event,
the event coordinator, the production designer.
Yeah, you're the production designer. Yeah. The facilities rental.
Facilities manager.
Yeah, manager.
All that stuff.
Yeah, all that stuff. What was it on Holdovers? You said you wanted to work on my set as food designer or food.
Oh my gosh, I had never seen that job title before.
Yeah.
That is me. That is so me. I have some people in my family who are exceptional cooks.
Yeah.
You've met Emily. Her dad is an amazing cook. So here's what I tell them. You cook it, I'll make it look beautiful.
That's good.
I could so totally do that job. And it was the food
designer or food. No, it was the food decorator. It was something like that. Yeah.
It was so cool. I gotta look it up.
Makes sense that's the thing. Cause like I had sit there, I'm not, ham's fine or whatever, I guess. But when they had that spiral cut ham, I'm like, I want that right now. When they were eating that. It was
perfect.
Yeah. It wasn't even the focus of the shot, but that's what I was looking at the entire time.
But they were able to take it and create spacing. And that's each of those spirals that made it look, because it's not normally like that.
Yes.
You had to actually make that happen. And that was beautiful. And I could do this. That is a job for me.
Well, if you look at like how they do commercials that they sort of say that. I've watched different things about that of like, cause I do find it, I find it fascinating. I'm not good at it though, but yeah, like what they'll do is, there'll be stuff that's not even like edible. The point isn't to make it edible. The point is to make it look good and appetizing to people. So there's a lot of, like you said, spacers. There's a lot of different things that it's not even edible that they
lights.
Yes. Yeah, so. They'll drench it in something that's not that, or whatever. So that's a whole world. I forget maybe Vox did it. Someone did a piece about that, and I just found it endlessly fascinating. I'm like, oh, okay. And like what you think is food in these commercials or different things are actually like something else, and so they use replacement pieces and stuff. So
yeah, I knew about that for commercials. Did not know about it that they actually. It wasn't just the production designers, one of their tasks within their project plan. This is actually a person. And I'm going to find out the name of that. And while you're talking about the movies that are coming up.
Okay, so the next time we're here in Double Feature, so that's next week. So we're skipping Double Feature next weekend because we'll be recording that podcast and everything. So definitely check that out on Saturday night on twitch.tv or watch it later when it comes available on the YouTube and podcasting wherever you get that. Also, we're not returning the next week either because the next week would be Christmas and Christmas Eve. So we're skipping 2 weeks here in Double Feature Movie Club, and we will return for our final episode of the season on the last day of the year, December 31st. So be sure to come and join us for that. if you listen to the live version of it on YouTube on Sunday evening at 4 p.m. Central, you can also get the live version of our best and worst of episode, which is my favorite episodes, both me and Diane's favorite episodes of the season. If you want to listen to the live version, you have to tune in live on YouTube or Twitch. But that will also be available later in a few weeks following that. So be sure to check out all of that and everything. So on the 31st, the two movies that we're talking about, there's a lot of roles that we're throwing at you. I'm so sorry. But the two movies that we're talking about are both period pieces. They are 20th Century Women from 2016 that has Annette Bening, Greta Gerwig, and a bunch of different people in that. And you can watch that, I believe, on Max. I believe is where people can watch 20th Century Women. Supposed to be a good movie. We will see. We love Annette Bening here on Double Feature Movie Club. We've watched a lot of different things of hers. We've seen a lot of Greta Gerwig, whether it's her directing or her acting, as in Maggie's Plan. So I think that that's a good movie to end on for the season. And the other one that we are, 20th Century Women is on Max. So if you have Max, watch it on that. And the other one that people can watch is Phantom Thread, which is the Paul Thomas Anderson, Daniel Day-Lewis movie, which is supposed to be really good. I have a questionable history with Paul Thomas Anderson that we can talk about then. But that should be two movies that people really like, and I'm excited to watch.
And the Phantom Thread is the one that Daniel Day-Lewis came back from his retirement to do.
Yes. He came back. He retired after Lincoln, and then Paul Thomas Anderson said, wait, hold up. I actually have a really cool movie for you. And he's like, okay, I'll return for this, and then I'm out forever. And so supposedly, Daniel Day-Lewis not going to act in any more things as from 2017. And so...
Yeah, I don't believe it.
Well,
okay.
He's like out there being like a cobbler. Like he makes shoes.
Good for him. So Phantom Thread no wonder he wanted to come back and do it.
Yeah.
He had an interest.
I think you're going to like the costumings and stuff for that. I mean,
I'm going to. Are you kidding? I'm going to love it. So the position is called a food stylist.
That's right. Food stylist.
That's right. And they are part of the art department.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I want to be the food stylist.
I like that.
Yeah. I can make, that quarter pounder and fries look great. We'll do it. Just do it.
No, yeah. I mean, I like that. That was good. Yeah, no. I just started thinking about the movie again. It's a good movie. Go watch Holdovers.
Go watch it.
Yeah. Well, I just like how they didn't change, just a little tiny little thing. They didn't change it all that much. You had Divine later, she's yelling at this lady for putting too much paprika in the soup, and it's like we didn't end the movie with them just automatically just changing completely, and now they're wholly positive and nice people. They're just, it's very realistic, and also, she ruined the soup, so she's gonna yell at her for putting. Why did you do that? I just love she's more angry at just give me a reason why you put that much paprika in this. But that made me laugh. No one else was laughing at that section in the movie.
Follow the recipe.
Yeah.
I love that she said add a third a cup of water, because that was not going to fix that problem. Yeah. Third a cup of water is not going to resolve that problem.
It's going to mitigate it, I guess, slightly, but no, it won't.
Not much.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyways, Phantom Thread is on Netflix. So if you have Max and you have Netflix, watch them. And then join us here. We are here, like I said, we'll be back on December 31st for that. It will be our final episode of the season. And you can watch us live Sunday, December 31st at 4 p.m. Central, or listen to
plenty of time to go out, get drunk, and
yes. Yeah, it's right before all that, and watch us there, and then go out and enjoy your the end of the year. It's been a great year, Diane. Spending this with you, it's been fun.
Always fun, Cade. We always have a good time.
Mm-hmm. We've done 2 seasons this year. We did, season 3 and 4, and both of them have been really fun seasons. Love to know whatever our listeners' thoughts are. This season's been a little different. It was shorter. It was 10 episodes. And we did a lot more new movies, as you saw this week, of things that were in theaters. I think that's a really cool thing. We did a lot of just Diane and I this season. We've did a lot less guests, so let us know if you like that or not. We hope next season to bring in more guests. This was just kind of like
it was just hard to find people who wanted to watch the movies that Jane had picked out. What can we say?
What can we say? We also, I mean, I'll be honest, I was just kind of like, I don't know. We'll experiment this with them. We had, because it was like, it's a lot to ask people to go out to the theater and watch the new movie. And it was, and it just felt like, I had to ask all these people. And I've, working on, odds are, the other thing was it was Cade and Friends was also running simultaneously. We won't do that again. So that it was just a lot of planning, a lot of different things. So it was just Diane and I this season. And I think we had a fun time and everything. And Ava, yes. Ava in the chat said this season went fast.
It did.
It did, and it's also because we shortened it to 10 episodes, and we used to do 15. So it's only 2/3 of the thing. But I like the 10 episode season. I think it feels better. It feels better. Like at this point we would be looking at having 6 more weeks. And
I like having a break.
Yeah. And that's where I'm like, ugh. Like you would start to around the 9 through 12. It's kind of starts to get like, oh my goodness. Okay. There's still a lot more of this. Left around that time is when it started to feel a little bit,
especially for you, because you have a job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah that's fair. I have a job and I have another podcast, so there's that, and I have my own film stuff that I'm doing and everything, so it's a lot of hats to juggle. So I think we learned a lot this season, so I'm excited for season 5 and how we update and what we change and what we keep and everything. But I think that this was a really good season.
I can't wait to see what movies we pick out.
I know we haven't done that yet, so we'll see. It's going to be interesting because I think we're going to look at new releases. If there's any new releases coming up in the new year that you think we should do, let us know. We'll be taking January off just so everyone's clear and everything. But and we'll look at. I don't know. I'm interested. Yeah, we'll do some new releases and we'll do some older ones. I think we've burned through 90% of the list that we originally had. So there's only a few left that we can even pull from. So we'll have to create a new list.
It'll be fun.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, that's the show. Thanks for watching us. Join us on the 31st for 20th Century Woman and Phantom Thread.
Click all the buttons.
Click all the buttons, yes. Wherever you see us, click all the buttons, like, subscribe, and rate us 5 stars. We'll see you next time. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.